Talking Reds, Neil Atkinson, John Gibbons. We're going to get into Manchester United preview stuff. We've got a clip from our preview show to come as well. We are in the Liverpool Gin Distillery on a Friday on Castle Street for the last time. We'll have a chat about that as well to come as well. It's all exciting, it's all to come. But what is happening? It's raging, John, this raging debate that just feels entirely unnecessary because Jamie Carragher had the temerity to say Liverpool are building superstars, not buying them. I don't understand in any way, shape or form why this is controversial.
Yeah, didn't think too much of it when I saw it, and then suddenly it's you know, it is this big debate, and it feels like, you know, there needs to be something, you know, that we need to kind of pull this Liverpool team down on, and it's decided that it's kind of going to be this.
An innocuous sentence from Jamie Carragher.
Yeah, I think we forget kind of how the journeys that some of these players have been on, and also what the conversation was around them when we bought them. So, you know, you look at that front three. I'd never heard of Roberto Firmino when we bought him. Mo Salah, you know, was someone who's failed at Chelsea. You know, relatively speaking, you know, gone over to Roma and done well. But remember when we signed him, there was journalists on TalkSport saying, you know, oh, he's going to be a flop, basically. And so, you know, you've got to remember what the reaction was at the time, even from, you know, even someone like Van Dijk. People were laughing at us spending all this money. Well, you know, 75 million on a defender. So it's all well and good saying, oh, now we know what the players are now and how good the scouting was, and, you know, the fact that you know, so many of them in the top 5-10 of the Ballon d'Or. But when we bought these players, they weren't the finished article. They weren't being talked about as, you know, of the best in the world. They have kind of become that at Liverpool, and, you know, that's not to say they weren't talented players, and, you know, we're not finding lads in the park. But at the same time, you know, Sadio Mane, again, there was doubts, me included. I wasn't sure whether we should be paying the money on him. I wasn't sure whether, you know, he was top level, whether he could do it week in, week out, and, you know, he's proved a lot of people wrong, including me. And so all these players really, you know, and this is not even get on to the lads who got relegated at the last clubs, you know, have kicked on, have developed at Liverpool, and credit has to go to, you know, the full kind of transfer team, if you like, for getting them in.
And the coaching staff for developing and the players for developing themselves. And but that, to me, all of this, everything that's happened in the discourse around Liverpool in the last 10 days, John, basically since we beat Everton in the FA Cup third round, I think, has become like everyone's just trying to find something to argue about. And that to me is, you know, and I understand why, trust me, and not least because there's, you know, there's aspects of the industry that obviously needs to talk about the team that are top of the league. But one of the issues they've got is that there isn't a title race to talk about. We've almost got to put up with this shit because we're so far clear. We've got to put up with it's all about VAR, or we've got to put up with this thing on the transfers, or we've got to put up with the idea the league's unbelievably weak. And the reason why is because everyone wants to write about Liverpool all the time anyway. Everyone wants to write about the team who are top. But one of the things that you can't write at the moment is the title race has never been as exciting as this because it just isn't.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, but also I think there's a thing where people don't want to say that as fans of other clubs or journalists associated with other clubs or whatever it is, uncomfortable with the fact that basically Liverpool are showing everyone up. So it's the easiest thing to say is, oh, look at all the money they've spent, or, oh, you know, well, they've got this player, of course they are there, or whatever. And I think there was, you know, the stuff around the Miguel Delaney piece, and I didn't necessarily fully agree with all the kind of backlash around it. But I think, you know, the toughest thing to say for some people at the moment is that Liverpool's the best run club in the country, and that's what they are, and that's why they've got to where they are. And people don't want to admit that. People don't want to, you know, everyone who said the manager's just a cheerleader don't want to then admit that, oh, actually, you know,
he's a bit of a genius.
He's a bit of a genius. He's an amazing leader, and also he's fantastic tactically. So they don't want to submit that. All these people who are, you know, laughing at the transfer committee and all that, look at what Liverpool doing, FSG and all this, you know, don't want to say, well, actually, you know what, they made a few mistakes at first, but now, you know, look how amazingly well run they are. It has to become something else. So, you know, and I sort of get it to a certain extent in that, you know, if you're someone associated with Man United or whatever, it's tough to see. You know, you look at the Deloitte leagues, and you get Liverpool as 7th. They're not a poor team, but Man United are 100 millions of the, you know, ahead in terms of, you know, turnover. You know, they're not the only ones as well, and Liverpool are just showing everyone up at the moment as well. And I think that's difficult for people. It is much easier to say, well, they've got the most expensive defender in the world, or they've got the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, rather than going, actually, look how well they've spent the money, look how well then they've used those players to you know, to play in this style of football, which is so hard to play against, yet so hard to defend as well. And look at how successfully they've got everyone within, you know, associated with the football club pulling in the same right direction. That's a hard thing to say, you know, to praise, isn't it? If you're sort of against that, it's the easiest thing in the world to go, oh yeah, but they've got Mo Salah.
I did Robbie Savage this morning.
Oh, how'd you get on?
Beat Statman Dave.
Very important.
I had to go nuclear late on because Statman Dave was saying this Liverpool side had never won the league. And I said, it's done, isn't it? We've won it, it's done, it's finished. And that was, everyone went to that. I actually am not 100% there, but it was important to beat Statman Dave and start the weekend off in the right direction. But one of the things that was interesting was one of the questions they asked me, and it's in my head, and I put it in my little email thing that I do. One of the things they asked me was compare this Liverpool side to the 99 United team. And this is the next phase of this sort of conversation is, are Liverpool better than you, not just your team now, but your favourite iteration of your team ever?
Yeah.
And that's the next...
People don't like that either.
No, they really don't like that. So, are they best in Arsenal's Invincibles? There's the Man City 100-point team, there'll be the Chelsea 05-06 team, and there's a couple of United teams that were great sides, that were genuinely great sides. A couple of things from it. The United treble side wins 22 games that season in the league. So it's played 38, won 22 to win the title.
Yeah. If
we win our next two, we're at 122, and it's not even February yet. But it's more that they drew the way. They actually won more the season before and came second. They drew the way to the title. They only lost 3. But that's going to be the next phase of all of this kerfuffle, isn't it? It is going to be, they are better than your favourite football team.
Yeah, and people won't like that either. They won't enjoy it because...
Not least because men hate nostalgia being taken away from them too.
We always like to look back and be rose-tinted glasses, and I think... Although I don't think, it's necessarily fair to compare,
teams from eras, exactly agree.
Teams from eras. I think it is important to remember that these teams did have faults as well. So that example you've just given of that Man United side only winning 22 games this season, I wouldn't necessarily use it as a stick to beat them with, but I would use as I think it's a really good example of they weren't quite as good as you kind of remember in your head. They did have problems. If you draw in 15 games in a season, then well, something's going wrong. Is it? What was it they were kind of doing, or were they just knackered because they were obviously going on so different kind of different tournaments and things like that. That is the kind of next step for this Liverpool team. Also amongst Liverpool fans, there'll be Liverpool fans.
78, 79, 87, 88. Just quick, my thing on this and my takeaway, and hopefully it's your takeaway as well before we go into the preview clip, is this is how good this Liverpool side is. All this kerfuffle, let's just rise above it, because what the kerfuffle and the way in which it's being phrased currently means is this is the best football team in the country by a mile. We've got to find something else to argue about, so we're going to come up with all this bollocks. Preview show now.
It's great. It's the ultimate grudge match, isn't it? Like you said, it's like wherever they are in the league, wherever we've been in the league, and where we've been on top or they've been on top, the other team tends to raise its game and get it. It's almost a derby. It's not, but it's almost. I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of those occasions that you're really bouncing for, isn't it? And I fancy us. Yeah, of course I do.
It's one of them, isn't it, Rob, as well, where I remember, and I always bring this up, and I brought it up in my Unibet piece, and I brought it up in the meeting this morning, and I can't let it go because I just thought it was a mad thing to write. But once upon a time, not so long ago, a journalist who writes for one of the nationals, I'm not going to throw him totally under the bus by saying who it was, but he described a Liverpool-Man United match not so long back as two bald men fighting for a comb. And it really annoyed me because the point was that neither side at that time was particularly good and wasn't really challenging for honours and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just thought, but you've completely missed the point, haven't you?
Definitely.
You've completely missed the point because whatever is that's why I said that at the top. Whatever the situation is, this match matters a little bit more, doesn't it?
Do you know what? I'm in two minds, and I'm not going to be contrary for the sake of it.
No, it's fine.
Because I've just written my preview, which is going to go out.
Saying it's just another match.
Yeah, kind of. Well,
do you
know what? It has moved. Our perception. It's not like the derby with the Blues, which has always been a proper grudge match. This is. I don't know. It felt to me. Maybe my memory's waning. You're similar age to me,
contemporary of yours, yes.
Yeah. So I remember there's points in the 80s when they were utter shite. I think pre-Ron Atkinson, where they just weren't our business. Yeah, it was always a big game and it's always a big ground to go to, but you didn't get that wound up about it. I think sort of Ron Atkinson ratcheted it up.
He did. He did make a difference.
And then Ferguson followed that. Ferguson did, and I think when they got good, it became more of a grudge match for us. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just thinking, I'm not trying to be, faux professional about this. I am only thinking 3 points here.
Yeah, that's absolutely valid.
I just can't get excited about it. I found myself wanting them to win too often. Like when they play City. That didn't used to happen. I could never think of a game where I wanted them to win.
Never. Not in my life.
Last season, we all bet on a Man U shirt on.
I watched that with you. That was so weird. I remember saying to you and to people we were with that night, it's so weird this. I'd never had it before where it was actually willing Manchester United to win a game.
I still can't do that.
Even though it was against City, and it would have been to our benefit. It was just weird. It was so weird.
Welcome back. Preview there, the absolute business. Great show on Tour Play. You know how to subscribe by now. theanfieldapp.com/subscribe. I've just told you again, so there's no excuses. We can all move forward from this point. We ask you on this to do the comments underneath, and on the comments underneath we say, can you put a question in? So do one for Monday. But the question that Josh has picked for today, fraught with danger this, is who is the Anfield Wrap crew member you most would like to have with you for away games? So who's the Anfield Wrap crew member you most like to tag along with for away games? John, who are you going for?
Well, I've got a bit of a funny story actually regarding this, because the lads I go with to away matches most of the time are sort of the lads I've always been. So Kevin Walsh is one of them who you'll know, but most of them are people who you know aren't on podcasts, they're just my mates who've always gone, and they're very sceptical of new people. So I remember introducing Craig and saying I'm bringing my mate Craig Hannon, and a few people weren't best pleased.
No.
I think it's fair to say, just because it's a new lad,
yeah, you know, gonna have to find out, ask him some questions about himself. Who's got the energy? Exactly.
so they were sceptical, and Mick Clark, who does come up with these things, and say who had met him, came up with the phrase of, I don't know, you know, lads, he's a good-looking kid, he'll do wonders for our image.
Just takes everything up a notch.
So, you know, for the image of a load of lads in the 30s and 40s who were a bit overweight and a bit over the hill, Craig Hannon has indeed done wonders for our image.
Craig Hannon, there you are. I'll pick Robin Paul, who I tend to go to away games with more than anyone else. I know it's picking two and it's a bit moody, but we have a very nice time when we go. And it's fair to say we most definitely eat well. And you can't argue with the facts on that one. Say what you want about whether or not what our support how vociferous. The thing with Craig is in the ground. Certainly a lot of my Craig experiences in the ground involve talking him through panic attacks as the game wears on.
Yeah.
And it can get quite exhausting. And I think I piss him off when I keep telling him what time it is and why he doesn't need to worry.
Yeah, he's got a little bit better for that. He still does like being really high up when we score, which I like.
Building scaffold so he can climb it.
Yeah. He's just like lumbering up on you to get higher. Like it's just like, you know, he feels high, so he wants to be high.
Yeah, just wants to get that one out there. There you are. There's three strong names, three strong submissions for you. This game at the weekend, it's Manchester United. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the selection from the Liverpool manager. We're all talking like there's only really going to be one change. It's one midfield slot. Firstly, I wonder if we might actually be a little wrong in that, John. But the other thing we're doing is, and we did it on a show, it'll be Oxlade-Chamberlain or Lallana. There's a fighting chance he just whacks Fabinho back in and moves Henderson, and we're sort of overlooking that. We keep hearing training's this intense, training this intense. Well, if he's performed in 3 training sessions, the manager may well think, well, he's ready.
Yeah, and I think it's 3 full training sessions, isn't there? So there's obviously the training before that, which is, you know, not with the whole team, but it's still ball work, it's still moving about. So it's not like he's been doing nothing until sort of Monday, Tuesday this week and then come in. You know, they build them up kind of gradually. They do training on their own, and, you know, they do training without a ball, and, they're in the gym and stuff like that even before that. And so this process will have been managed with the idea that he can hit the ground running. I just wonder whether they're looking at the next sort of group of games really and go,
I'm thinking, well, there's Wolves on Thursday.
Yeah, maybe that's a better one for him. You know, play Wolves on Thursday. Should we sort of throw him in for that? I think they might go for the Wolves game and just gives them a little bit more time, and also allows them to think about the balance of the midfield for both games as well. Obviously, this is a home game. We're expecting Manchester United to allow us to have a lot of the ball, and so, you know, can you play someone like Henderson there, you know, for this one, whereas Wolves, you'd have thought they'd come at us a little bit more at least. Just being the home side, different sort of game. They're quite a big physical team as well, so bringing Fabinho in for that. I wonder whether he might just be sort of looking at it. And then there's obviously the Shrewsbury game as well, so if he's worried about people being rusty, maybe that's one where, you know, it's not going to be quite as frenetic, do you know what I mean? You don't want to underestimate Shrewsbury, but, you know, it's not going to be the pace of the Premier League, you know, and it's not going to be quite the case of, you can't even take a touch and someone's on you wouldn't have thought. And so I think these next 3 games, he'll be looking at and thinking, well, when's the best one for the team and for him to bring him back in? I suspect it'll be Wolves.
Lallana or Oxlade-Chamberlain?
I'll go Lallana. I think he's played really well recently. I think he's worthy of a start. Chamberlain was a little bit disappointing against Spurs. I mean, that can happen, you know. Plenty of players in the past have bounced back from, you know, a disappointing game and had a good one. So, you know, I'm certainly not going to be disappointed if I see Chamberlain in the team. And I'd expect him to play well if he does. But I think Lallana deserves a start. I think everything he's shown recently, both off the bench and when he started games like the Everton one, has been top class. And I think it will be a bit frenetic at first. I think they'll look to get at us. I think they'll look to, you know, maybe catch us a little bit cold and start the game well. And so someone like Lallana who can set the tempo with the press, who's good on the ball, who you know, who's good use of the ball, you know, can obviously link up with the attacking players as well. I think could be a really good one for this game.
Okay, all the merch stuff is on the website at the moment if you want to check that out on the Shopify. Obviously, we've said about signing up loads of shows, really good Friday shows out. Also, Weekender came out first thing this morning, BAFQ and bits and pieces through the day today. The Deloitte thing that Andy did with Nick was really strong as well. Give that a listen if you haven't, and it's a bit of a surprise. We thought it was going to be a Weekender segment, if I'm honest with you, and then they just talked for ages and it was great, so we put it out. We play fast and loose, we're quite relaxed.
We're agile.
We are agile. We've been agile here on a Friday morning at the Liverpool Gin Distillery since, I think it's about sort of 3 months worth of coming down here. It's been fantastic. We really like the gaff, to be honest with you. I've got this line I say when I sometimes interview authors about books, that it's always nice that when you read the book you end up liking it, and then you're going to have to go and interview them. It's been like that with the Gin Distillery. We've really enjoyed being here. They've looked after us in terms of getting us situated, but they've also, it's also just a good place to come for a drink.
Yeah, no, it's been sound, and we've been using it more just, you know, socially since it's been here. The people are lovely, the bartenders are great, they take great care over your drinks, and it's nice being coming. So this isn't the end of our relationship with Liverpool Gin. We're just going to be doing other things. I think the plan is just to come here at more gin appropriate times.
Well, I'm in my head I'm suddenly going, I'm still doing bedding in here, aren't I? I've got no interest in finding another location for that, and you know, it's absolutely suits it down to the ground and suits the vibe, and it's great downstairs. So if you're ever in town, you're looking for somewhere to go on match days or any other time, really, Liverpool Gin Distillery is the absolute business. We may well come back here this evening, actually, because we've got a plan to work out there.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Admin on air.
But look out for things we're going to be doing for them in the future. There's going to be a couple of events that we're going to be getting involved with the Liverpool Gin are doing it, so we're looking forward to that.
Exactly. Thank you very much to John. I've been Neil. This has been Talking Reds. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you soon.